Ready? Call the meeting to order. There are no citizens' comments. All right, do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda?
Make a motion that we adopt Roman numerals 3, 4, and 5.
So, we have a motion by Mr. Morrow, second by Mr. Young. All those in favor? Motion carried. Mrs. Allen, our first policy reading, will not be voted on this, just listening to it and asking questions.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. I am doing the first, presenting to you the first read for policy JARH. And just to summarize for you on page 3 of the policy that you have under number 3, the maximum amount of paid parental leave that can be taken during a rolling 12-month period has increased from 120 hours to 240 hours. So that is the change in this policy.
Is this a result of legislation, or is it a competitive issue that we?
It's a result of legislation. This was passed, I want to say a couple of years ago, about 2 school years ago, and then they just increased it during this year's legislation.
And so if we say 240 hours, do we assume an 8-hour workday? So that's 30 days, basically. Is that? It's good.
Literally.
I just didn't know if like a school day, if it was only 7 hours, I didn't know if that.
So one of the things that's different about this, it's a qualifying event. So let's say a family adopts. So you have 12 months to use that time. So it doesn't have to be consecutive. Like we typically see that, like if somebody has a child. So let's say, for example, that we have 2 employees, and once the mother, let's say, decides to stay home for the full time, and then let's say the kid has some health issues and they need to use that time towards taking to the doctor and everything else, all that is still paid parental leave. So whatever the qualifying event is, that 12 months from the time you first start collecting that paid parental leave.
The other important piece about it is that they don't roll over.
But you can have another qualifying event.
So this time of year was January to December, right?
Yes, well, no, it depends on when they start. So
It's just 1 year.
this will go into effect July 1st.
Yes, it goes into effect July 1st.
But then if that qualifying event is in November, then it's 12 months from November to October.
Okay. So if somebody had a baby the first week of summer break, they could take it starting the next week.
Any other questions? Mrs. Allen? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Niles.
Good evening. Have a board resolution before you tonight from DOE that is the acceptance of 78 instructional units at the high school as opposed to 30. What this allows us to do is collect the final 10% of our entitlement.
So board, you notice it goes back to FY21. So when we started to break ground right after in June, July of 2020, that was when we did the advanced funding for the high school campus, and it was about $12.5 million. But because it was considered a full campus, we could not send the form in and get full reimbursement until everything on the campus was done. And so now that everything on the campus is complete, we're able to get that final 10%.
Which is 1.26 million.
Will that go back to the debt?
Yeah, it goes back to money we spent.
And that's that's state money.
Yes.
And they just have to have this resolution signed by you all, just saying that we did build more than just the advanced studies building. This more or less goes into the 3-story addition.
Clarification. Go back to the minute she asked, or we go back to the.
Yeah.
Right, it does not go to general fund.
Okay. All right, any other questions of Mr. Niles? Motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Ramsey, second by Mr. Young. All those in favor? Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Niles.
Yes, sir. This request is to accept approval for $219,492 funding the SPLOS 6 excess. This allows us to complete all of the renovations for the Gym of 36 building, which is a total of $570,552. Once we got all of the quotes in, all of the vetting was done, we had anticipated 300,000 to 400,000, but it came in at 570.
HVAC and plumbing were the biggest upgrades. We weren't exactly sure to what extent the plumbing would have to be updated. Just to be on the safe side, we went ahead and did gang restrooms for both boys and girls on both the second and third floor. So that way both have access there. We did add a staff restroom and a nurse's station in both of those that originally were not planned.
And the original 300,000 to 400,000 was coming out of the proceeds of the initial loan.
Yeah, so 350,000 of it is coming from the bond, and then the additional 200,000 plus is coming from East Loss 6 excess receipts.
Do we already have that money, or is that going to be
We have
future
that.
collection?
We have that.
And is there anything that needs to be done that we're not doing, or are we getting everything done this first one?
This is everything being done.
And do we have an expected delivery date on this?
Yes, our goal again is to have everybody moved in and the building occupied and everything by the first week in August.
If you notice, there was some work on Oak Street over the last week. So Jill, you want to talk about what the work that was being done there?
Do you see that I have no hair left? So we have asked Unite Private Network, that's the company we buy one of our two internet lines from, to make a connection from this building to the new building, the downtown office. We need that in order to make it part of our wide area network. We have a second line that is through the state of Georgia. It's called PeachNet. That's our second internet connection. Well, when Unite Private Network began to bore in order to put in the fiber to run to the downtown office, they tore the fiber connection for our PeachNet line. So we had a lovely week last week with that.
It was quiet
Excitement.
for a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah. So the good news is most everything failed over. The bad news is the phones didn't fail over, and neither did Munis. So we had a couple of things we had to work through to get that done. We are still waiting on Unite Private Network. They have ceased work. They tell us now they are waiting because they have to work with City of Gainesville so that they do not hit any water lines. I don't even like saying that out loud because I think I'm jinxing it. So now they have pushed back the date by which they hope to have finished the full project of running the fiber to the new building. So looking more like very late June.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the expenditure? So motion by Mr. Wardle, second by Dr. Ramsey. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thanks, Mr. Niles. Mrs. Ethel. Would be made financial statements.
We did have Munis issues the last week. They were still able to get these financial statements prepared. And we were able to do an enhanced payable check run. So thank you, Jill, for all that hard work. Tonight I'm bringing forward to you an update on the financial status of the general fund for May 2024. We did have a relatively good unexpected amount in property tax receipts, in the amount of $431,000. We typically don't get that much during this time of the year, so that was a welcome amount. We had an average month for TABT at 281,000. Our QBE revenues, after June's receipts should bring that up to exactly 100% of our anticipated amount. The other sources and grant revenues, type miscellaneous type revenues, should come forward when we begin to close out our fiscal year and draw down those funds, and plus receive some of the other miscellaneous type revenues that we typically do during this summer. So, anticipate an increase in those. Our total revenues for the month are 5.2 million, which was an increase over last month, but it's mainly due to that amount of property taxes that we did receive. May's financials reflect that we have collected 97.6% of our anticipated revenues for the year. That is under the 100.5% shown at this time last year, but I don't believe that's any cause for any concern because of the way that we record revenues and expenditures, for that matter, during the year. Up until June, we record those on a strictly cash basis before we start doing the accruals. So it could just be simply timing. Also, I noted that last year at this time, we might have already updated our budget some, so that when you're doing a comparison between the 2 years, that could kind of skew it as well. Moving on to expenditures, our expenditures came in at 7.9 million for the month and 9.8 million for year to date, which is 91.9% of our annual budget. This time last year, we were at 93.2. So that is, we are under expenditures compared to last year, but I will say that expect June's expenditure amount to go up because we do have several projects that are ongoing that are expected to be completed by the end of June, but it's going to probably increase our June expenditure amount. So
She's saying bag.
preparing. Our ending fund balance for the month of May is 25.1 million, and last year's ending fund balance was the exact same thing, 25.1 million. So, SPOS receipts for the month of May were steady at 1,035,000. I'm hoping that we see a slight surge in that this year during the summer months, July, August, and September perhaps. I think we did last year, so we're looking forward to a little surge there. Would be welcome. That's my report. Any questions for me?
And for the new board members, just know that when Ms. Pethel brings July, it will be a tentative. And we really want to approve that until September.
Right.
Just because closing out the year and some of the grants and everything else that come forward. So you'll see one in July, one in August, and then the final one will be in September.
Are there any questions of Ms. Pethel? We have a motion to approve the statements as presented. So motion by Mr. Young. Second by Dr. Ramsey. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Pethel.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Williams.
All right, board members, I know we met first back in February when we were talking about the budget and the numbers and what we were, at that time, we were in the legislative session to hearing things that we knew were going to impact us a little bit on the revenue side as far as additional funds, but definitely impacting us on the expenditure side of the cost, especially related to healthcare. And so we're going to hit on some of that over the next few minutes as we look at these, but I will say that the budget, when we adopt the budget, we're required to have 2 hearings. If we do not accept the rollback rate of the millage, we have to have 3 hearings. So for the last 6 years, we basically held those at the same time. And those dates will be next Monday at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And then on July the 15th at 11 a.m. There are restrictions that you have to have one at 6 o'clock or later, and you do have to have one before noon. And so we do have those times set aside to have hearings. Ms. Pethel ran these in the paper over the weekend. For the first advertisement that will be for next Monday, we'll have another one that will be put in the newspaper the weekend after the 4th for the July 15th date. So there are size requirements to the ad. There's timing that's required there as well. We did get our digest a little bit later. As far as the final digest came about at the same time, but the preliminary digest kind of fluctuated a lot, and we just weren't comfortable bringing anything to the board at that time. But overall, the big two things we're gonna look at, number one is the budget, revenue expenditures, but the other is maintaining the same millage rate for this year. So I want to show you the infographic, and board members, you should have a copy of this. This is all accessible on our webpage. It's one of the main 6 stories at the bottom, but also under budget service or financial services, it's listed there. So if you will look at this document here, this is just an infographic that's got a quick synopsis about how 24-25 expenditures, revenue, and everything is looking. If you look at the top, the 4 big takeaways are, number one, as a school district, we are proposing a tentative millage rate of 6.195, which was the same millage rate now for 3 years in a row if that gets adopted. There's a state mandated increase to health insurance. 2.5 years ago, we paid $945 a month for our certified staff to have health insurance, which came out to $11,340 a year. This next year, we now go up to $21,120 a year for our employees certified to have that. It's a little bit less on the classified side because they are stepping it in and giving us a little bit of relief for a year for the 2nd year in a row. But it will in the very near future be up to the $21,120. Increase all classified salary scales by 2.5%, and then add additional $2,500 to the certified scale. That is a Governor Kemp in the legislative session. They added that $2,500. And we felt like by doing that, we need to do something on the classified side as well. Last year, we made some pretty drastic adjustments to our salary scale as far as the floor on some of those for our parapros and other positions, bus drivers, nurses. And so we went up about 5% or higher on all the scales last year for classified. So this year, we're going with 2.5%. Millage rate, you'll see on the left side, has reduced from 6.85 down to 6.195. Now, keep in mind, we realize that assessments have changed quite a bit over the last 3 to 5 years. And you'll see in just a moment what that does to our collections. From a revenue standpoint, we're $105 million, just over that, and just under $107 million on expenditures, which has us going into our reserve a little over between 1.5 and $2 million. You'll see the expenditures, and this kind of gives a summary of the amount. Award step increases and earned degrees. Our employees, every year that they go from year 5 to 6 or year 21 to 22, things like that, they automatically earn a step on the salary scale. But also, we have employees that go back and get a master's degree, a specialist degree, a doctorate degree. And so that also adds to our expenditures. In all honesty, those are out of our control. We do want to provide that increase for employees that get additional year or every other year pay raise, but that comes out to $1.8 million just in the salaries that go with that piece and the benefits that go along with it. The second expenditure, the 2.5 increase, comes out to about $300,000 on additional expenditure. The $2,500 comes out to $2 million. ESSER expenditures, we're absorbing mental health clinicians, substitutes, and our Butler Center support back into the budget. That comes out to $1.1 million, and between $300,000 and $400,000 of that are just in substitute costs. Special education needs, increased services and costs to the department, 1.775. There are a couple of things that go along with that. $775,000 of it is a departmental increase due to the Futures program and bringing it back on board from ESSER, but also the contracted services with special education has gone up about $400,000 from where we were just a year ago. So some of that, when we cannot hire a speech language pathologist, or we cannot hire an occupational therapist, we have to contract for those services. And so that's why those costs are in the contracted services as opposed to salaries and benefits. The additional $1 million was an adjustment we had to make at the beginning of last school year. It was not in the initial budget. And that was due to the cost of the healthcare increase with parapros. We had to pick up 6, actually, I think it might have been more than that, 9 paraprofessionals to the tune, they gave us to about $1 million total cost because the projected need for special ed just came in higher, or the actual need came in higher than the projected need. We know that many times there are IEPs that are written that say a kid needs a one-on-one paraprofessional. We can't negotiate that. We have a kid who just moved in who's gonna need a one-on-one nurse. We had a kid who just moved in who's gonna need a one-on-one sign language interpreter for us. We don't get funded for those. So those are all local costs to us, the district, that we have to support families and the needs that are there.
Edward, you mentioned that the parapros came in higher than had been projected. Do we ever get funding from the state for that, like down the road? Do they recalculate?
No, so like for the health insurance cost that we get, we earn it for our certified people, but the state does not cover any classified. So that means we have to use our IDEA budget, which is our special ed budget, to help pay for a lot of the parapros. But because of the cost increased so much, we weren't able to pay as many out of those funds as we have in the past. So it just made it a bit of a challenge. The health insurance increase, it's $16,650 for classified and $21,120 for certified, and just under $3 million just in the increase to health insurance. So to give you an idea, we are pretty high when it comes to a first-year paraprofessional with no experience. We pay just under $24,000 next year, maybe slightly above that. But when you look at paying $16,650 for health insurance, we pay an additional 7.65 for Social Security and FICA. We pay 20.78% for TRS. All of a sudden, we're now spending close, if not more, on benefits than we are the actual salary. No other industry does that I'm aware of. It does put a burden on us as a district to maintain that, because our question comes down to long-term, what is that solution? When you look at our budget as a whole, $90 million of our $107 million expenditures in salary and benefits, 90 million. Of that 90 million, 60 of it is in salaries, 30 million is in benefits. So we now pay 50% benefits compared to our salary. Not long ago, that was only 30%. So imagine 18 million versus 30 million. That's 12 additional $1 million. In all honesty, we didn't get anything more for it. It was health insurance. We didn't get to add people. We didn't get to add services. So that does put a burden on our budget as a whole. But this is an infographic that is on our website. Just a one quick snapshot for anybody in the community and taxpayers who want to see some of the stuff that's out of our control and then some of the things that is within our control. If you continue to look, you will have a presentation in front of you, and this is what we will share during the hearings. This is just kind of repeating some of the stuff that I just mentioned. When we look at our revenue and how we earn our revenue, we have two sources. We have our QBE earnings, which is from the state, and we have our property taxes. From the QBE earnings, our student enrollment continues to increase beyond those pre-COVID numbers. Not drastically, but during COVID, we decreased 250 or so students. We're now 500 to 600 above that. So we gained those 250 back plus another 250 to 350. You saw the health insurance increase to 21,120. Certified salary scale increase to $2,500. Safety and security was added to the budget. We received, it actually comes out about $47,000 per school. In the past, that was a grant that every school received, and we had to use those funds basically on the facility itself. So when it came to strategics or locking doors or card readers and things like that, that's how the money had to be spent. The good news is going into this year, it's actually getting added where we can use on personnel. So it's going to offset a good bit of our armed security guards that we have in the schools. And that's how we would offset some of the salaries and benefits for those men. Nursing and transportation increased due to legislative adjustments. I think it came out to 1.1 million. Nursing went up only 200,000. Excuse me, we only received $200,000 for nursing, but we spend about $700,000 as a district for nurses. Transportation went up to about $900,000. You can imagine we spend a lot more than $900,000 for bus drivers and wear and tear in the vehicle. Local fair share. So what that means is state in their allotment sheet, they wind up holding back and putting on the 5 bills to help fund equalization, other education efforts across the state. And ours went up quite a bit. You see just among the local fair share
increases, the negative impact on us. Property taxes, did go up. Overall, see there that if we were to do the rollback, the full rollback would be a decrease of 0.364 mils. In your packet, you will see various scenarios if we did the full rollback, a half rollback, quarter rollback, so that you can just kind of get an idea of what that means as far as additional cut into the reserve. So overall, revenue is there. If you look at the table, you will see our budgeted revenues. Let's see if we get this whole table in here together. Total revenues FY 24 initial compared to the FY tentative, 25 tentative that we're talking about tonight. QBE, which is the state funds, just under $5 million more there. If you'll notice, the local fair share, the local 5 mills, went up $1.6 million. So that means that last year they withheld 12.7. This next year they're withholding 14.3. That's due to our assessments and valuations of the properties, and because it went up, the state keeps a little more. Charter system funds went up. You can see how much nursing and transportation went up. The bulk of that, of course, was in transportation. Property taxes, if we maintain the same millage rate, is just over 5.1 million. Everything else is the same, but you do see the federal through the state increase of 450. And Kathy, is that the safety and security? That's the safety and security. So from a revenue standpoint, we're going from 95.58 million up to 105.2. One thing that we did not do this year outside of absorbing some of those ESSER positions, we did not add any positions. When Roberto Rivera was hired as the principal of Gainesville High School, we did not hire his AP position. Mainly because with Horizon opening up, that position was already there. We did absorb a clerical support staff member there. So we tried to balance where if we have somebody that resigned, retired, and we can absorb that position, we will over this next year. But also we did not add to the budget as a whole as personnel. We just replaced individuals that were already on the books as far as salaries and benefits are concerned. So before we move into expenditures, any questions about the revenue?
You said the 450 through federal or state,
That's the safety and security grant. And I will say, it is disappointing to see almost $10 million in revenue, and we didn't add a position. Just shows the cost of operating the school system right now. Every school system superintendent that I've spoken to is going into their reserve. Some a little bit, some are going in quite a bit. We are, I believe, fortunate that we're going to be going in less than 2 million. But we'll look at it in just a moment. Any other questions about the revenue?
The QBE revenue would include additional funds because of student population growth. But is that also where we would see like the $2,500 increase
Correct.
flows through that?
And the health insurance increase that we get for certified. So if we earn, let's say, 500 certified employees through the allotment sheet, we earn 21,120 for those 500 employees. All of that is through the QBE. So when you see it go up, 2 million of that's from the 2,500. The remaining amount basically is health insurance. All right, moving on down, you'll see the expenditure notes. This is what you saw just a moment ago. The step increases, 1.4, certified salary scale, 325. Some of these are broken out a little differently because we do have I believe in here, we did not put the degrees, new steps and benefits. I don't believe we put the degrees in there with the step increases. That was 400,000 to go along with the 1.4, which gave the 1.8. But you'll kind of see some rounding on some of those numbers that classify the certified. The federal program shortfall, that's combined in there with the 775,000 with SPED. That's where those two combined came. The ESSER expenditures, state health benefit, TRS is included in the upper part with the increases overall as well. And then you see department budgets 775 of that was tied to, special ed. Operations, went up about $625,000. That was after we cut it quite a bit, and then the remaining amount was just through some of the other departments. All of this is included in the packet in Ms. Pepper gave you that we want to give you as the homework to be able to look through, before we have our first hearing next Monday. So you'll be able to see the department increases, you'll be able to see the school increases, but also salaries and benefits on those. And just of note, the tax allocation district, the TADs that we participate in, just a handful of years ago, we were paying just a few $100,000. Now that amount comes out to $2.3 million from our revenue that the city gets back to put into those TADs on our behalf. So that is an additional expenditure that is taken off the top before we look at our local taxes. Then you'll see the breakdown of the expenditures come to just over $11 million. Instruction's the biggest chunk. You can imagine $2,500 per certified position. That comes out there. And so a bulk of the health insurance and the 2,500 is tied there with the instruction, although we do have certified positions in other areas. That's the bulk. Any questions on those expenditures before we look at the reserve? The overall revenue is just over 105, expenditures just under 107. We'll be going into our reserve 1.7. This will be the first year. There have been the last couple of years, it's been close, but we would add a little bit. But this is the first year that I truly believe that we'll be going into our reserve. Ms. Bethel and her team have done a great job of always kind of keeping us in the black there, not having to go in the red. But we do feel like this year it's going to be hard to overcome 1.7 million. Usually a few $100,000, we can even make that happen throughout the year in absorbing positions or not doing projects maybe that we had talked about. But 1.7 is going to be a little more of a challenge. So the biggest part is we'll be just over $18.5 million, 18.6 in our fund balance. And if by some chance your property assessment did not go up, you would not be paying any more taxes if we keep the 6.195. However, we do understand that there was a range of just 1 or 2%. Mine was about 14% this upcoming year. And so we do know there's a range of assessments and how they will reassess. Couple of things to note. You can't see this on the screen necessarily, but we will be, and this runs in the newspaper as well. It's also available on the website. You can see the 5-year digest with the 2024 projection that's in there. You will see in just a moment our exempt properties. But if you look at the exempt properties, the first one, those properties are city, county, state, and federal buildings. You've got churches, you've got cemeteries, you've got the hospital. You know, we have exempt properties in the city that automatically come off the books. It is what it is. Then the next row of exempt properties, those are our senior exemptions, Freeport exemptions, and we'll look at that in just a moment. You'll see on the right side the dates that we have the hearings, which again are next Monday at 5 and 6, and July the 15th at 11 a.m. Overall, our exemptions increased about 34% of the gross digest. That means you see the number at the top of over 12 billion as a total digest. 34% of that amount is exempt from taxes. And of course, if we don't adopt the rollback rate, hearings are required. So talking about those exemptions and other digest adjustments, on this sheet, this is something that we get from the city. And this is just a breakdown. If you look at the second column that says school O&M 6.195, that's where you wind up getting our total number of at the bottom. And you get the 51,961,638. And then you see the TAD amount coming out. And then you see really what we use as operating on the school side of property tax. You can see over $3.5 million in Freeport exemptions. We have $6.7 million in senior exemptions. And so that just gives you an idea of where some of those exemptions come from. That's the bulk of those additional exemptions.
So of course, I know the answer to this, but assuming somebody did know the answer, what is a Freeport exemption?
So when you look at the, let's say you have a business that's inside the city limits.
Right.
It's the equipment that it's in those buildings. So a lot of times that depreciates in value, of course, over time, probably quicker than most of us would want it to depreciate. But that's where that gets put in. 2 years ago in the legislative session, there was a bill that it passed out of the House, but it died in the Senate, that was actually going to exempt the Freeport exemptions from being calculated in a local fair share. So imagine if we were able to, so when we see that local fair share going up to almost $15 million, if Freeport's taken out of that, that number is less. So we're going to continue to push that with our legislators. It did get out of the House last time. Hopefully this time when it gets over to the Senate, if it makes it there, there'll be some support on that side. Because there are exemptions. Think about this. There are exemptions that we do not receive property taxes from, or in some of the other areas of Freeport. But also when we get our local fair share, those are still in there. So it's kind of hitting us both times. We don't get it initially, but then we also get punished for it when we get the local fair share. So we're going to be requesting just a little bit of help in looking at how this is going to impact us down the road. As the health insurance continues to increase, I'll tell you TRS is going to go up over 1% in the following year, which is automatically going to be over $1 million that we know is going to be added to our budget the following year. So there's just some things long-term that we're growing concerned about that we'll be looking at very closely this year, having to have some tough conversations about absorbing positions. We do not want to be in the business at all of rifting positions, doing a reduction in force to send anybody home. I don't feel like we're there at all yet at this point, but we do feel like we'll be tightening our belt over the next year. Because Ms. Petha wants to make sure that when she does decide to retire, that it looks good. And I think I shared this with the board. As long as we keep doing this, I'm not gonna let her retire. So we do have some work that we need to do. And then you'll see here just millage rates, and this, board members, this is just for you to kind of, in case things come up in conversation, you just kind of have some numbers at your disposal. This is a rank order of our neighboring districts and what the millage rate is in each of those districts. If you look at Habersham, they are the lowest at 10.345. However, back in the mid-80s, there are a number of districts, I think about 9 across the state, that actually have a 1 penny sales tax that they can use for maintenance and operations. So think about what we collect in SPLOST, which is about 12 million a year. Imagine being able to have 12 million a year collected by sales tax that can offset our operating budget. Habersham has that. They're the only one in our area. Towns County also has it as well. I believe Raven may. So when it looks low, just know they are getting an additional 5.767 from a penny that is being spent. Property tax owners, they only pay the 10.354, but they do get an equivalency of 5.767. And then you can see Dawson, Banks, Lumpkin, and Barrow. You see Gainesville, we are 6.195 because we're 100% assessed. We need to multiply our number by 2.5. And that's where you get the 15.488. We do have the senior exemptions at 70. We do have the TADs. You see Jefferson and Hall. Hall, of course, has the exemption as well. And I'm not sure about the other communities. I only put the 2 that I knew for 100% have their exemption at 70. I know Lumpkin has some exemption in there, just not sure the age or the amount. And then you can see Forsyth, Commerce, Jackson, and Gwinnett. One of the things I want to point out is the debt millage column. You will see that we don't have anything there. You recall when we went to the community and we said we want your support in this bond referendum and using the SPLOST to pay back that bond indebtedness, we said we would only use a bond debt millage if it was absolutely necessary. So we've held true to that. We're continuing in this budget, hold true to that. But you can see that in other districts, Jefferson, Hall, Forsyth, Commerce, Jackson, Gwinnett, there is a bond debt millage that is put on the taxpayers, on the property owners. That's why we added it to see what the total exempt or the total millage rate is when you compare total taxes a homeowner would be paid.
All right,
That's a lot.
that's a lot.
Yeah, so one of the things I would encourage you to do is when you look at your packet Ms. Bethel gave you, feel free to call me, call Ms. Bethel, be glad to answer any questions. Some of this you've seen in a draft form. This is the final tentative. It does have the salary scales in here. It does have the budget allotment sheet that we wind up giving all of the schools. It has scenarios about a full rollback, a half rollback, and a quarter rollback. It also has a breakdown of some of the department increases. And if you need specific information on those departments, we'll be glad to get that to you. So when we meet on Monday, if you would please bring the packet Ms. Bethel gave you. We'll have this presentation that I've just shared that we will hit again. And of course, we may have some citizens show up and may have comment. We'll go through the presentation so they can understand a little bit more about how our budget works. Biggest thing is we're not adding hardly anything, but the cost of unfortunately doing business and education right now is sky high. And I would just ask that as we start moving into a new school year, as we start possibly looking at conversations leading into the next legislative session, let's have a discussion about what do we feel like are some of our priorities that we want to communicate to our local delegation so that we can ensure that this is, that we are partners in this and that long-term that we're not putting all school districts in a negative spot. Any other questions for me or Ms. Bethel?
All righty, do I have a motion to adopt the tentative budget? Motion by Mr. Young, second. Second by Dr. Ramsey. All those in favor? Motion carries. Spending resolution.
Yeah, so because we were not able to fully adopt a budget by the end of June, we do have to do a spending resolution, excuse me. The last time we did this was in 2020, when COVID hit, legislative session shut down. They were not able to reconvene until the summer. This is a formality in order for us to be able to adopt the budget into July. A number of districts are having to do this year just because the digest either came in late or some of the budgetary numbers are just not quite adding up, or it's a challenge. And so we're asking to do a budget resolution or spending resolution for 1 month that allows us up to 1/12 of the previous year's budget, which when we bring you a budget in July the 15th, that'll be null and void because we will have a new budget for the 24-25 school year.
Do you have any questions? Motion to adopt the spending resolution.
So moved.
A motion by Dr. Ramsey. Second. A second by Mr. Young. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor? Motion carries. Any discussion on it? I have a motion to adjourn into executive session. So motion by Mr. Young,
Second.
second by Dr. Ramsey. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thanks everyone for coming.